Hi folks, it's Bonita. I'm back with another Bonita's Basic. We are going to, in this video, talk about how we make our waterfalls. The cool thing about how I make my waterfalls, you will be able to put it in your book uh, horizontally or vertically. No matter what we do, you'll be able to use it both ways. So today, again, I'm not going to give you measurements per se because, again, the technique is what we're talking about. When I do my tutorials that actually I'm designing an album, I'll say, hey, pop over to my basic on Waterfall, and you can just watch the basic, and I will give you the sizes so you'll be able to do all that and put it together. After you follow me for a while, you won't have to pop back in here because you'll just know how to do it because it's just great. So with the waterfall tutorial, again, no matter whether we're going to put it in horizontally into your book or vertically, it's going to be the same way as how we start to build it. Remember, this is my cool waterfall signature that I make that actually uses very little paper to make your waterfall, but it looks really cool. So we're going to start with our base piece of paper, and again, I will tell you what that is. And then you will have your flaps that you will have. Again, I will tell you what sizes those are, but on your flaps, you're always going to take it to your scoreboard, and you will score 1/2 inch, and I will tell you which side to do, but I will tell you what side to score on in the tutorial. So you're just going to score down 1/2 inch. So you're going to do that with all your flaps. And then you're going to get all those scores turned over and burnished really good. And it doesn't matter whether we're building this with 2 flaps, 5 flaps, 7 flaps. It doesn't matter if we're going to make it fit with a 4x6 photo, whether we're going to make it 3x3. This technique works for every single one of them. And that's why I decided to do these basics, because these basics are the same for every size. So I'm going to get my handy glue because, again, what we're going to use for putting this together is we're going to use our 1/4 inch score tape that we're going to use to adhere it to our book. And we're going to use the art glitter glue that dries clear, a must-have for your album making, and cardstock. All of these can be purchased at J&S Hobbies, Hobbies and Crafts, and I will make sure that I leave the link below in the comment section. Again, this is just a tutorial on how to put it together. It doesn't talk about the measurements because it's always the same when you do that. Okay, so we're going to start with our very top flap, and I'm just going to scribble my glue. Oh shoot, this is my new bottle, and it's ready to go. It's just the plastic is really tight, so it's hard for me to get it started. So I got it. Oh, there we go. It's hard to get started when the bottle is brand spanking new. Okay, I got a little bit too much glue there, but okay. So again, I'm going to make sure I am lining up my sides here because that's how you make your waterfall straight. I'm going to make sure I get that corner in there, that first one. First one's always, you want to make sure you get the first one straight because that helps with all the other ones. Making sure it's straight down there. Put it on there with your finger first and make sure you got it right before you 100% stick it down there. Okay, that's our first flap. It's okay, that glue's going to dry clear. Going to take your next piece, and I am just going to trim just our little corner, just our triangle off, just a baby triangle, you guys. This one's going to go right underneath that, and I don't want you to line it up with this right here, because and with the crease from the paper from the other one, you're going to use that as a guide. But if you line it up with that, and this one happens to be crooked at all, it's going to make this one crookeder as you go. So we are going to use that as a guide, but we're going to line it up with the side. Okay. So again, let me see if I can squeeze my glue. I got to get started. Oh, all right. I'm going to have to work that bottle over and teach it to be flexible. Okay. I always try to put my pin back in there, you guys, because that glue, I don't want it to get harder, thicker. Okay, so I'm going to line up, I'm going to start up in this corner, and I'm going to touch it right where that 1/2 inch flap is at down there, but I am going to line it up with the side of my paper over here, and I'm going to lay it down with my finger, okay? And before I do it permanently, I'm going to look, am I straight with my other stuff? And I'm off just a hair. I think my other one is a little crooked. Let's see, I'm not over far enough, I don't think. With me. Do that with your finger. Get that in the right place. Whoops, I'm going to trim off just a bit on those. I'm going to use my glue. Scribble. Get the ends. Okay. Again, I'm going to use the side of this as a guide. The side over here. Do it with my finger. Lift it up. Whoops, that one is not straight. That's not cool. With your finger. Well, I am like getting crooked all the way down, so you want to make sure. That's why it's important not to always follow that flap up there. There we go. Then burnish it when you're happy with it. Don't burnish it until you're happy, because if you do that, you are in deep doo-doo. Just going to come back and burnish those good. Okay, I'm going to take my next one. I'm not going to cut that off this time because it kind of helps it stay in the right. Yeah, I am. Just a baby triangle. Gonna do our scribbling. Teaching kindergarten not to scribble, but to be pretty. But when we're talking glue, you guys, we are going to scribble. Okay, again, I'm going to line it up with the side of here, finger press it, open it up, and then my right, yep. Then I'm going to burnish it. Again, that gives you, when you line it up over here, it makes your waterfall straighter. If you line them up with your flap that you glue down, it's harder because, you know, if you scored off a hair, you know, if you laid it off a hair, whatever, it's going to continue down the pike that way. So if you've made waterfalls and you've had that happen, that's probably why. And I personally like to make, on almost all my albums that you'll see, I will try to do a few things different, but I really, really, really like to put on the first inside cover some type of a waterfall, and on the back page the envelope closure, because this just, I like that. Yep, look at that. Great, great, great. Whoops. And so again, you know, pretty soon you won't have to come back to these tutorials because you're going to know exactly how to do this part of it. Again, grab your supplies from J&S Hobbies. You guys, Shelly is an incredible lady. The tutorials that she does and the design teams do are free for you. And so it's just a super cool thing that she does, and I really met her in person, love her to death. My mom was just over visiting her today. I didn't get to go. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Okay, now this one I'm only putting 6 pages on, I believe. And I'm going to fold these all back down. I have a pretty big space left there. At the bottom of my stuff, I have about 1.25 inches. Okay, the one thing I do is I make you make a longer base, because as you put your pages in, you may not get those pages in like exactly a 1/2 inch down. And if I tell you exactly what size to cut this, and you get off, it makes this piece at the end smaller. So what I do is I have you cut it bigger, and then we're going to trim it up from this last flap. But before I do that, I want to test it with my album. Again, in the tutorials, I will tell you what size to make. I'm going to set this horizontal in my book. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do one more. So let me cut one more piece of paper really quickly. And again, the size of paper doesn't matter because the technique is all the same. I will just tell you what size of papers to do because sometimes we'll do small little waterfalls. I just scored it a 1/2 inch because that is always going to be the same. I'm going to fold that in. Again, I sure hope these basic tutorials help you guys. My goal really is to make you guys successful. Draw some more people into making the albums. They're a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm going to open this back up, and I'm going to add one more. Again, we are going to scribble our glue. Remember we talked about scribbling? You want to scribble it. You don't want to necessarily do just a straight line. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to line it up with the paper on the side. Going to get up close to where the flap touches and put that down. I think I'm going to cut this paper too wide. That's super duper. I'm not sure how I did that. Let me see here. Wow, where is my paper cutter? Haven't done that in a while. It is too wide by a hair. No, that is like right on. So I don't know what the matter is. Let me put that back down. Maybe I'm just dreaming. Perfect alignment there. I guess I was just dreaming, you guys. I don't know. Okay. Now, this particular one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flaps in it. And again, I have too much paper here at the end, and I'm going to try to put a white piece of paper right here and here so you can see that. So I have about a 3/4 inch gap there. We only want that to be a 1/4 inch from this last piece right here. So I have many cutters. My Fiskars that has a little wire in there, I really, really, really like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this on my cutter, and on that last flap that we put in there, I'm going to line that up on the 1/2 inch mark of my cutter. So here, let me zoom in here, you guys. Let me zoom in. And let me focus this a little bit. And so it's hard to see. Let me put a piece of white paper on here so you can see what I'm getting at. So this is my last flap. I'm going to put that right at the 1/2 inch mark right on my cutter. And I'm going to cut away. Now it looks like I perfectly made my album with all, I'm trying to get the light better. Right there, see that? Look at that. So it looks like I did that perfectly. So let me just recap that part of the waterfall. Again, I will dictate and tell you when we're making this how big to make your base page to start with, and how big to make your flaps. you're going to adhere each flap. You're going to start with the top one, line it up on the left-hand side. And as you add each flap, you're going to start right where the flap from the one before was, but you're going to line it up on the side. Don't worry about if it's lined up perfectly in here. You're going to line it up on the side. It'll be about a 1/2 inch gap there. And you're going to do that all the way down. That is your waterfall. Okay, so then what we need to do then is we need to put score tape on the back of that, and then this will be ready to decorate and then put in your album. And it can go this way. And I know it's hard to see because it's all black on black, or you can put it this way. So you can use this waterfall in any direction. Okay, that's all we need to do for this one. Again, what you'll want to do is you want to put score tape all the way around. Let's go ahead and do that so we won't forget. We're going to put score tape. Now your waterfalls do get heavy. And that's why I like to use score tape. As you follow me along, I use a lot of the glue when I put things together, but there's a few things that I really, really like to use the score tape on, and this is one of them. And I'm just using the 1/4 inch score tape. It's great. Score tape is great. And it's going to do that. And then because this is heavy, I'm going to put 2 lines of tape in the center. When we adhere it to your book, guess what we're going to do? We're going to scribble glue in those open areas. But let's just get that ready. We are going to burnish those down. That, again, we have all these flaps that we will do the cheating decorating with, and that we're going to put in our albums. So again, this is just the technique. I will refer you, when I go to do my tutorials for my albums, I will refer you back to this with a link below my on my tutorials to say, hey, go check out how to put your build it, and then you will come back and you will have that ready. And so we can decorate it. So there you go. That is my Bonita's Basics to how to do put a waterfall together. See you soon.